Hello, wonderful, brilliant, fantastic, creative people. Welcome back to the Drum Sample Shop YouTube channel. If we've not met, my name is Jake, and today we've got a great video for you. We're going to be looking at how we can choose the right drum samples to match with our live drums and enhance them. And then we're going to be learning a few tricks as to how we can then blend and mix those samples in with our live drums to better serve the song, give us better music, get us the result that we all want. So let's get into it. Okay, here we are inside Pro Tools, and we've got a song here called Sunflowers by a girl called Abby Gledhill that I produced, and we've got Nathan on drums again, and here is the song with no vocal, but all the other instruments and the drums as they are in the track. This is the end part of the song. The drums just on their own. So we've got a very simple drum part here. Nathan's playing with hot rods. We made that decision on the day of tracking. And also we made a decision to put a small tambourine on top of the snare drum. That was something we decided. Just because we felt it was a cool vibe to have the little tambourine hitting every time we had the snare. Yeah, other than that, we've got a very simple drum part here. Now, I think it might have, whether it was on the day of tracking, we were miking things up and the way we heard it on the day might have not been the way that it came back afterwards. Sometimes that happens. So what we've got is we've got a snare track here that has a lot of tambourine on it, more than I was hoping. That might have been its position to the microphone, and then also we've got a kick drum that doesn't have much mid punch. So what we're looking to do now is we're going to be choosing some samples to blend in with the kick and snare, and we're looking to find samples that first of all match the vibe of the drums. We've got this sort of big open drum sound, but everything's also still, because Nathan's playing with hot rods, everything still kind of feels a little bit muted. There's a lot of room sound that's partly in the mix artificially and partly from some room mics, but other than that we're looking for kick and snare to find samples that match them, and then also samples that then enhance them so that we're not just it enhances the role of the drums within the song as well. So we're not just looking to find the biggest and best kick drum, sample and the best snare drum sample in our heads in terms of, most attack, biggest room sound, all of that. We're trying to find a sample that suits the song, suits the drum sound that's here already, but it just enhances it. It gives us some things that we don't already have. As I was saying, that the kick has a lot of sort of woofiness at the bottom, a lot of low stuff and a bit of clarity, but it doesn't have loads of sort of mid punch, and can do with a little bit more defined low end. And then the snare has a lot of that tambourine that we put on top of it, and not much sort of low thud of the snare. So we're looking to enhance that low end of the snare drum, give it a bit more presence. That sort of 1 to 300 hertz area. So a kick and snare trigger channel's already opened up here, and I've already done the Massey DRT, as we all love, firing our samples off. Now, what I've done already, save a bit of time, save you watching me scrolling through menus of samples from the Drum Sample Shop libraries, then what I've done is I've chucked a few in already that might be in the ballpark. We've all done that thing where we sit there and we scroll and we pressing play, and on all of them, doosh, 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 boosh, doosh, doosh, boosh. It takes forever sometimes, but sometimes you just got to do, put in the work to find the samples you need to get the sound that you're looking for, to get the sound that you're desiring in your head, and also that the song's calling for. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the kick sample first. Now we've got the 22-inch 70s kick from the USxUK. So we've got that one. I've already got the drum room, so I'm going to mute the drum rooms. That's how that one sounds. And then we've got the Charmer kick from Indiana Tones pack. And then we've got just the regular 22-inch US kick from the USxUK. Bit fluffier. And then within the snare channel, we've got 2 snares here from the Black Stallion pack. We've got a low, medium dampening tight, and we've got the Payden wide open tight. They're both Black Stallion pack. And then we've got 70s. So the next 2 are from the Acro-Man pack. So we've got the 70s Acro Payden full dampening. And then we've got the 70s Acro Payden BFSD tight. A range of sounds, okay, options that might all work. But what we're going to do is we're just going to test them out, basically. We're going to go with the kick first. I'll keep the drums soloed. Here we go. We're going to try this 70s kick. Quite aggressive. We've got a lot of, already naturally we've got quite a lot of attack and sort of high end on that, high frequencies. The Charmer. Mute that and hear the natural kick on its own. There's lack of definition in the upper. Yeah. Okay, and then let's try this 22 US kick from the USxUK. Here we go. I think that's more what I'm looking for. The 22-inch kick, the US kick from the USxUK, I think that's what I'm searching for. So I'm going to keep that one in there. Let's move straight onto the snare channel and let's do some of these snares. Okay, nice. That feels good. That first one. Second one. A little more aggressive, that one. And let's go into these Acro-Man ones. Oh. Loads more bottom snare crack on that one. And then let's get this 70s one. A little more muted, that one. Okay, my initial thoughts were this first one. It's a little more understated, and I feel like it's sort of setting the track a little bit better. So let's run all of these are fantastic samples. I mean, I loved how this last one sounded. It's got some real bite to it, but that's also part of what we're sort of chatting about today. Is I think sometimes there's drum samples that you're like, oh, that sounds wicked. Sometimes they just sound great, but it's not necessarily the right sample. So like good samples are good samples, but what we're searching for is the right sample for our song and for our drum sound that's already in the track. Okay, so I'm going to run with this first one. Feels like it matches the dynamic of, it's slightly more understated, a little bit less low end than some of the others, a little bit less like sizzle crack from the bottom snare than some of the others. So I'm going to run with that one. We'll see how we go. I'm going to bring some of these. We've got a couple of drum room reverbs that are just sending a little bit. I'm going to bring them down, but bring them back in. Okay, they might be poking out a little bit much at the moment. Let's see where we're at the moment. I like that. I think it's straight away, that's given me what I was hoping for. There's that woofiness of the kick, what I like to call woofiness, that low hug at the bottom of the kick. And the snare is like definitely more understated than some of the Acro-Man samples that we were using, like we were testing out earlier. But I do feel like that's the right vibe. It sits in that mix nicely. I think they're probably a little bit high in the mix at the moment, so let's just work out a little balance for them. Just adding a little bit more low end to the snare sample, just to rise up sort of where we're there, sort of 200 hertz, a little bit more thud, sort of a little bit at sort of 125 up to 200. So great, straight away we've got a change, we've got a difference, we've got an improvement, we've got a bit more upper sort of mid attack on the kick drum and a bit more woofy hug at the bottom of it. And then we've also got the snare, which is giving us that low thud, which I was missing from the snare top mic from the actual original recordings for the live drums, where I was getting way too much of the tambourine that we sat on top of the snare drum. But what we can do now is we can actually sort of use that snare top mic to basically blend in however much tambourine sound from that live recording as we want basically. So let's have a little go at that. Love it. So now the second part of this is a trick that you can use within the Trigger plugin, which is to tune the samples to better match the drum sound. Okay, so we've got this tune knob above every track on the Trigger plugin, and above both our kick and our snare sample, we're gonna use it to see if there's a little sweet spot that we can have it sit in the mix, in the existing drum sound, all of it. Let it kind of like sit there and really feel like it's embedded as a sample that is worthy of our mix. So let's give that a go. You can hear it really tuning up here. The low. I'm feeling good about that. -9, I feel like gives it a little bit more woofiness, but we're maintaining that attack at the top of the kick drum that we were missing from the live recording. But it's giving it that sort of like slightly more, even more of a low end hug that I quite like. So let's try and do the same thing with the snare drum. Feels very high there, too high. Bring it down a bit. A little bit too low. Maybe have a little listen to it without the sample to see what the original snare sounds like. I think I'm happy with that, both of those. So in summary, we've got -9 tuning on that kick drum sample, and we've got a +3 tuning on that snare sample. And I feel like that's giving us loads of stuff that we didn't have before. It's giving us a tuning that's complementing the drums that were recorded live. And it's also, we've chosen samples that are enhancing what we already had, giving us some things that we didn't have before. We've got a little bit more low thud from our snare that we didn't get on the recording day, and then also a bit more presence and a bit more like woofy, huggy, low stuff. That sort of low thud as well from the kick drum that we didn't quite have. So let's put it in the track. Let's see if we get a good balance. love it. That's brilliant. It's exactly what I wanted. We've achieved exactly what we set out to achieve. We've got some samples that really suit the drums that were already recorded, and we've used that tuning knob on the Slate trigger plugin to sit them even better into the sound of that drum kit that was already recorded. And then we've got a great balance. We just set them nicely. They're not too overpowering. They're just enhancing what was already there. Brilliant. Success. Well, there you have it. I hope that really helps. I hope there's some tips and tricks in there that you can really implement into the music that you're making, the songs you're producing. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. And like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications every time we put out a new video. Also, you can go over to Instagram at Drum Sample Shop and follow us there for more updates and information about everything Drum Sample Shop. But otherwise, we'll see you in the next video.